Yeah. Let's see. So Kanda, take us live and post once you take us live, please.
I think we're live now, Vani.
We are live? Okay. So, good morning, Preeti and Riddhi.
Hi, Vani. Good morning. Indeed, a very good morning.
Yes, it is. I can't tell you how excited I am for what we are going to chat about, but really for your passion and purpose. To the rest of the audience, I think it's a very good morning for both me and Didi and Preeti, because Kalaari just concluded our investment into Lxme, and the topic that, or the problem that Lxme is working on, is, I think, one very close to my heart personally. And by the way, that's a fantastic name, Lxme. I mean, I like the twist and the deep meaning that it conveys.
Thank
And
you,
indeed,
Vani. And we're so super excited. This is really a great, for us, a great validation. And to have you on board is amazing.
It's really a dream come true to have you on board, Vani.
No, and to see two passionate founders working on this problem and challenge. And of course, in the Indian culture, when a girl is born, we always say Lxme has come home. And that certainly has been a tradition in my home, our family. And, there is always been that notion that your daughter is your wealth, except that we haven't taught our daughters. We treasure our daughters, but we haven't taught them financial literacy. And I've always thought personally, by the way, that this notion of protecting your daughters, which is so beautiful, protecting them with love and care and all of that, but not preparing them, is something that every parent should think about. We can love and cherish our daughters, but we have a equal responsibility to prepare them. So, and that's what we are going to talk about today. That's your mission, that's your purpose. And, for me, I always look for companies, problem statements that founders have deep sense of passion and purpose. And, so I want to understand the origin story for Lxme. Why was this? Both of you are smart. You know how to manage your own wealth. But why was this important for you as a passion and a purpose to solve this specific problem?
So I think, Vani, just like you mentioned, right? I think the huge dichotomy that existed, and I've been in financial services now for 2 decades, and I think, you would hear on one hand, like you said, a daughter or a wife is Lxme, and we'd pray. The woman herself, actually, along with the family, would pray to the goddess Lxme, who's the goddess of wealth. But when it came to herself, somehow she always felt that I'm not good enough. And not just her, I think the society conditioning was very strong. And I think from where we were, I think we could really see that vast gap and the opportunity, right? I mean, 560 million women with bank accounts, but about 8 million women who are shown as investors. And mind you, even that is not, you should take that number with a pinch of salt, because that's a lot of proxy investment going on in the name of women, right? So barely, maybe 1 million women and lesser who are actually taking charge of their women. Now that's the gap, that's the opportunity. But I think more importantly, when a woman manages her money, and she can go on to manage family money also, I think the power that money has, we talk about compounding, not just compounding in numbers, but compounding in her own confidence, her security, the family's security. And we know that women manage wealth, only good things happen, right? So I think for us that was the big passion to see, it's been our vision that we are able to empower every woman in India to get financially savvy and financially secure. So I think that's where we came from. And given now that, we have the UPI, there's digitization, democratization of investments, it was just the right time to sort of start this platform. Women are getting, they're aspirational, they're ambitious now, thanks to social media, thanks to the exposure. So it's only, and of course, the dynamics are changing of the world. Nothing is like we used to say. When I was growing up, it was like marriage is forever. I don't think anything is forever, and therefore, every woman is today aspiring to, at least ensure that she's financially secure. And I think just creating that access, what they didn't have was an access to a platform, relatable behavior, which is what we are creating, and that's our passion and purpose. And Riddhi can add on to that.
Yeah, and I think basically, like we all relate to the problem. Technology can solve a lot of real world problems we are facing. And I've always loved building solutions faced by, every person in India. And I think we as women especially relate to this issue. We've all faced inequality at some point in our life. And as we all strive for equality, without financial equality, it's always going to be incomplete. So I think that really drives me solving this problem to make sure every woman achieves her financial goals. And I think building a platform that's powerful enough to imitate the support and trust a woman needs to start taking charge of her finances, I think that really drives us every day to build Lakshmi to the scale that it should be built to.
Hmm. So, I understand you're very passionate about this problem, but how do you plan to measure your impact? I mean, take any time scale you want. What does it mean for you to see a success? What does success look like for you, for Lxme?
So, Vani, when we started Lxme, I think the questions we would get is, why do you need a separate platform for women? Why do women even need a separate platform? Will women ever manage their money? We've even been asked questions like, will men in India allow women to manage money, right? So I think today, and we just 2 days back, we hit 1 million downloads on the platform. So for us, I think that's one of the great measures of saying so many women have actually come to the platform to just excited or with the intent of saying, yes, we want to learn, we want to do something with our money. So one, of course, the metrics that we follow for success is, of course, looking at how many women have actually come to the platform, how many women have actually used calculators, how many women have actually invested, what is the wealth that we've helped create for women on the platform. And these are more quantitative sort of measures of success. But of course, there is a lot of qualitative measures also. For example, if a woman comes and says, we have so many women and we run this IP called Women of Lxme. And it's very inspired by, similar IPs. But we ask them that now that you're on the platform, what difference does it make? And when they come back and tell us that, I have, ever since I've started investing my money, my confidence in myself and my ability to do this has increased multifold. So I think while we don't measure that impact, but there are certain ways in which we measure her learning and her, what she does onto the platform, right?
Yeah, and to add to that, I think on impact, one of the key things we measure is the savings and the wealth she's created on the platform because she started towards either her safety net or her financial goals. Then also we measure, for example, how much she's borrowed on the platform because that's a very powerful metric. Women are generally hesitant to borrow. So actually we enable loans for her to achieve her dreams for personal needs, right? Not just for the family. We also actually have this offering called Lxme Coins. So Lxme Coins is your financial net worth on the app, which measures how much you've learned how much you've built your good financial habits on the app, and how much you've empowered other women. So if you're helping women on the community, also you're earning Lxme Coins. So I think another way we measure it, the women who earn Lxme Coins. And then a couple of the other measures, which is not directly related to financial products, but non-financial services is like calculators. We have really simple calculators and we have thousands of women coming to even start asking the question, what do I need to retire? So when we did a survey, 98% women, or 4,000 women, said they had no retirement plan. The fact that thousands of women are now coming to even see how do I plan for my retirement, what is the amount I need, I think it's a great measure of impact, right? So we also have live sessions. Women shy away from asking financial questions, and here it's a completely no judgment platform. We have women joining the live platforms, loving the sessions, asking questions, and the testimonials, like Preeti said, it is life changing. I mean, as a startup, we have so many tough days, but every time we pick up the phone to talk to our customers, they're like, we love Lakshmi, we're never leaving Lakshmi, this has been life changing. And even if there's an issue, we call up customers, if there's an issue, they'll still be like, we just want to thank you for building this platform, you have no idea how much it means to us. So for us, I think just hearing that testimonial is also a measure of impact.
I think, like Riddhi said, on really hard days, we call up customers because that's a good way of feeling,
Better.
okay, we're building something right.
I'll tell you my own personal reflection. I think from a fairly young age, and by the way, in many South Indian households, actually, my mother managed the household budget, right? So she had total empowerment to manage household budget, but that's a little different from wealth management, isn't it? So, and I think from a fairly young age, I think I had the autonomy to manage my budget. Here is your school fees, here is your pocket money, all of that, and which are very important skills, right? So, your expense management, your budget management. So I think a lot of women are taught that part. Hopefully they're taught that part, but in my family, that was like a given. You have to learn those kind of financial literacy. But wealth management was a very different thing. The principles of compounding and role of equity in your portfolio, how you even construct your portfolio for risk adjusted, those things are never discussed, and that knowledge just doesn't exist, right? And for me, I think I had to learn it by myself and the hard way, with very little tools, in my 30s, really. And I would even say I got good at it only in my 40s, even if I was earning a lot of money, and even if I was earning the same amount of money as my husband. And somewhere, I assumed that somebody will take care of my wealth, and I always wonder, why did I assume that? But it took me a wake-up call of personal choice to say, no, I want to learn this. And I think I started in my 30s, and I think had confidence in myself in my 40s. But and maybe my story is same or different, I don't know. What about you, and what do you think is the state of, is it any better for women today? So hopefully girls know this early. So what is your thought on the state of the opportunity or state of problem, if you will?
Absolutely, Vani. So you're so right. I think as women, and that is true even today, nothing has changed over the generations. I think as women, we are typically, the implicit messaging is you are great with money if you're great at saving. Nobody goes beyond that. What do you do with the savings? What are you supposed to do with the savings, right? So today, I think every family, the difference is every family today encourages the girls to earn, to be financially independent, and to say, okay, save your money. But beyond that, neither our schools nor our institutions really talk about wealth management. What do you do with the money that you earn, or your savings? And I think that's where women sort of fall off that whole, piece of creating a corpus for their retirement, for their life goals, and they really get left behind. I think it is very true even today. And one of the big reasons, other than all the social conditioning, is also typically financial services has always spoken to men and their behavior. I think the ability to really reach out to women, communicate as per their behavior, was what is lacking, I think, and which is where we come in. It's rather unfortunate, Vani, that even today, if you look at the Gen Z, if you look at the millennials, it's not, boys and men will start at the minute they are 16 and 18, they're already putting money in stocks, they're learning about stocks. But women, it really does take them to reach till the late 30s or early 40s. And they actually lose out this whole, 10, 12 years of compounding, which are so precious. And therefore, I think this is something we've always believed this should be part of your school, college education. And like I said earlier, this opportunity is so vast because, given that if you just slice across socio-economic category segments also, whether it is low income, middle income, affluent, mass affluent, HNI, across the board, women are actually not taking charge of their money. And I think this is an opportunity across various segments, and which is what keeps us very excited in Lxme. One is the impact, but the opportunity is just, there's just so much to do.
You have been working on this idea for some time, right? And you've been passionate about this for some time. So why did you choose to raise capital now? And if I may ask, why from Kalaari?
Well, Vani, before we do this discussion,
I don't want that to be a self-serving question, by the way. I'm not asking you to just say good things about Kalaari and me, but just, more for other founders to understand what goes into why raise funding and deciding how much you want to raise and from whom you want to raise. There is a framework of that's different for every founder. And in building my two companies, I had a certain framework which I realized is not the same for all founders because, we are all individuals and we need different things. But that learning is not always there, accessible to founders. So just thinking through your process of why now, how much, and from whom, I think is very useful to other founders.
Absolutely. So, I have a confession which I'll make at the end of this, what I have to say before that. But here's the thing. I think one of the things that, and this is a realization also, Vani, that as women, when we actually start a venture, I think we start with a lot of, responsibility with capital. And I think when we started, we bootstrapped it to say, okay, let's see how this works. We started as a Facebook group, then we built an app, sort of took our learnings, did small MVPs, validated it, came back and built it on the app, till we reached a place where we said, okay, now our assumptions are validated. We've reached this number, this milestone. Now, like any other startup, I think we need one, of course, risk capital to scale up, grow, all of that. But most importantly, I think partners who align with us, who align with just this vision, who can come in as mentors and true partners to help us build Lxme. And I think which is why we said, okay, this is a great time to go out and raise funds. And luckily, we've obviously, got the right partners aligned, including yourselves and you. And that this was my confession. So when we actually started the fundraise, just the thought came in, and we were doing some homework. And I remember thinking to myself, I think my wish list would be to have Kalaari and Vani Kola, right? And I think literally we feel it's something that we've manifested and said, because I think we've followed what you do, where you invest. We've also followed the CXXO initiative, and we understand as women founders the challenges that come up. So I think that's where we've looked at. I think this stage also for us is now scaling up from here. It is really the large, big growth stage, and we want to do it with the right advice, with the right mentors on board. So Vani, we are really looking forward to having you and your continuous guidance on this journey ahead.
And I just want to add one thing. So, Vani, of course, you're like the poster woman, you and Kalaari, of the VC ecosystem. So it's a dream, actually, like I said at the start, to have you believe in what you're building. But other than that, I think when we met you, I think you instantly understood the problem. your excitement mirrored ours. You understood what we were building. You had the same belief, and you had so many ideas that we could relate to. So I think that also instantly just, I just think, like Preeti said, the right partner is so important, and you really got what we are building and the
No,
long term
Riddhi,
vision.
Priti, I really wish you were there in my 20s, but let's enable our daughters, uh, 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 mine are in their 20s to have access to this platform. Let's do this for the many, many young women. And there is no right age, honestly. I think at any age, uh, fully understanding financial literacy is important. And we have shared stories of it doesn't even have to be um, that there is a uh, there can be dire financial situations that a woman finds herself in because she hasn't understood how money works. And I think it's important for everyone to understand how money works and their relationship with it. But that brings me to just a question I want to ask both of you, and I'll share my answer also afterwards. But what do you consider the most important asset in your portfolio?
Um, so I would think just my grit and determination, Vani, because I think this is something that drives me. A lot of people ask me that why are you, why are you building at, why at this stage, why for women? But I think once you realize the problem and you've decided to solve it, I think the grit and determination to really solve it. I think that for me is probably.
I think I've seen that firsthand. I would say, I think my Lakshmi portfolios and also the vision we have for Lakshmi. I might be biased.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you didn't say it is this talk or something else, right? But I'll tell you, just I was reflecting on this, and for me, um, uh, I actually don't spend much time on my portfolio, as in financial portfolio, because I just follow some very simple rules of being 80% into equity and 20% into, liquid funds and bond funds and so forth, so that that's available. And then so I operate on very simple financial principles, and that works for me. And the one thing I've learned the hard way is to uh, understand your own profile as an investor. And I think very few people have confidence to understand or explore, not even confidence, explore who they are. And confidence comes from that. And generally you say, this friend told me to do this, or that one told me to do that, or whatever. And I own very little real estate profile as an investment. I own real estate for living. And that I've always followed some old school principles of being debt free on real estate, and not try to optimize everything from upside, because the one thing that I learned the hard way is to think about downside. Everyone only thinks of upside, which is great, but there'll also be a downside, and your ability to weather that downside, I think, is important. And for me, a gold and jewelry just doesn't interest me, so I don't look at that. Art doesn't interest me, so I don't look at those as investment vehicles. I may do that for personal indulgence, but I don't look at those as investment vehicles. So investing in what you understand or choosing to learn, that I think has been probably that lesson of the 30s, to get confident about who I am and why and what I want to hold. No one person's portfolio need to look the same or can look the same, because we are all different people, different risks, different age, different choices, and so forth. But I was thinking about what would I consider a most valuable possession, maybe not portfolio. And my mother passed away with cancer a couple of years ago, but she had preserved her wedding sari, which is like 67 years old now, and I have a daughter getting married soon, and and we are gonna use that sari in some way in the ceremony, and just I think sometimes I wonder if we value anything anymore because everything is so much in available and in abundance, right? So, and so even this notion of cherishing something, what do you ultimately have to cherish something in your portfolio, in your possession, and we've lost the ability to cherish anything, and it could be whatever, it may be a simple thing, but it has a memory for you, and that becomes your most prized possession. It may not have any value in the real material world or for anybody else, right? And that's another thing I think about a lot now, to say what is it that you actually value in your possession. And as people build portfolio, having passion for your portfolio or what you possess, right, I think is also important, because what you won't value, you won't cherish, So that was a thought I had.
No, great, Vani. And one point that I mean, both. I think in terms of cherishing, really, something that is so valuable, personal, is something that you're right. I think we need to stop and start and see, okay, what do we have before running after what we don't have.
Yeah.
And I think one very important thing you said, Vani, which is why we feel that actually women make for great investors, is that women, you absolutely sort of encapsulated that, where you're not just, while you're looking at rewards, are you measuring the risk? And which is, I think, very, very important. It's such a, it's something that we teach all our women on Lakshmi, that rewards, yes, but learn to measure risk as well. Because, and women, that comes inherently, by the way, to us. It's also something that we know. So thank you for that really important piece, just reiterating that.
Yeah, and you're doing that every day to these thousands and millions of women. How do you describe your leadership style?
I think to me, it is lead by example with a huge sprinkling of selflessness and empathy. Because along my journey, I've realized, Vani, that leadership is not about you. It is actually about all your stakeholders. It is about your team. It is about your investors. It is about your customers. And therefore, how do you learn to put that before self? And I think it's a journey from really being an individual player to really a team player and then to a leader. So that's how I would say. And I feel empathy in today's world is very, very important, because there was a time when I started my career, it was, people said professional and personal, there's a distinct line between the two. But as I'm seeing, as we are, as I see my team, I see people around me, I feel it's important to handhold them on both the things, especially the youngsters. So that's how I would talk about for myself.
And I think for both of us included, it's fast and furious.
Yes. Fast and furious.
Well, it's the co-founders are always a great combo, right? So,
Yes.
I know that we don't necessarily need to identify ourselves as a women founder. We are founders, period, and we want to operate on the same baseline as any other founder. I feel that way, and I know you feel that way. But nonetheless, if there is one thing we don't talk about enough as women founders, what do you think that is? Is there anything?
Absolutely. I think what we don't talk about is our strength. There is, first of all, when we say women founders itself, like you rightly said, founder is a founder. I think the minute one categorizes them as a women founder, somehow you already sort of put them in on a back foot. I think what women founders need to talk about is essentially, founders who are women, is the strength that we bring on board. Like I said, the grit, the resilience. I don't think multitasking is a great it's a great achievement, but the fact that we are still doing so much builds so much resilience. And I think all women founders, especially when we come together, I think it's time to talk about the strength that we actually have. And I think then when somebody says woman founder, I think the significance should be, okay, there's an added strength that comes along with her.
Yeah, and the second thing I think that we don't talk about is our dreams. I think we're scared to share our dreams.
Yeah.
And, uh, I was going to add, when you both were talking, I think, of course, I'm a different person today than I was in my 30s as a young founder, right? I don't think I wanted to share my vulnerabilities because you feel that you need to be strong. You will be judged if you show vulnerabilities or needs. Even, I have this need at home, or I need this personal flexibility, or whatever that may be. So, and I am much more empathetic to that, what you said, Preeti, today, but also much more of leading that by example, to just be able to put it out there, right, and not worry so much about judgment, right? So, but this has been a fantastic conversation, and I really look forward to your success and being part of it. Yeah.
Thank you, Vani.
Thank
We are
you.
really excited, and I think this is only the beginning. I know we have a vision, and I think Riddhi and I, the one thing we've learned is we should talk. We're going to talk about our strength, our vision, and our dreams, and really want to take Lxme to be the one financial company for women in India.
And thank you for joining us
Fantastic.
on this journey.
Thank you, Vani, and thank
Thank
you for
you.
this session. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you, everyone, and good luck. Wish you the very, very best.
Thank
And
you.
may you make a difference to millions of women.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Vani.
Together. Thank you.